teams that will be in the quarterback market, and that is a name that's now on the list. Ideal fit for Russell Wilson, Peter, whether it be scheme, system, or building.
I'm actually curious at, A, the suitors, and I don't say this flippantly, if there are suitors, and B, the timing. Because, as I mentioned earlier in the show, Jamie, his money is not going to be that much of an issue. Now, he can try to get as much money as he wants, but every dollar he makes is a dollar that's subtracted from his Denver money. So it's all kind of nebulous, where the veteran minimum is exactly what Russ is going to end up signing for. So you're talking about the cheapest option, more or less, and then you look at these other free agent quarterbacks who are on the list here. And it's like Cousins is going to be, you're talking about a 2-year, $90 million deal. Baker, you're talking, is high 30s, low 40s. Minshew's going to be more. He's younger. Tannehill, I think, and Brissett. So those guys aren't going to take the veteran minimum. Russell Wilson has the money coming for him. I detailed it earlier. The numbers are crazy, what he's due. That's all coming to him no matter what. So Russ has this deal where he can kind of pick, but then it's a team has to pick him.
Yeah.
Yep.
You saw a lot about Pittsburgh over the week. Is Pittsburgh the best place for Russ? I don't know if the game fits. I don't.
Hell no.
Go on.
I have very strong feelings about it.
Let me hear it.
I don't think
Why?
I don't think that's a fit personality-wise. I think
Personnel, okay.
I think Pittsburgh
City,
has a very
franchise,
specific brand of coach and quarterback that they target. History, city. Russ has eccentricities, and that's fine. I think he is a beat of his own drummer. I cannot possibly fathom the Pittsburgh Steelers and their fan base going to get Russell Wilson as their quarterback. I just don't think it's a fit in what
the other city that we've heard, and Jamie mentioned earlier, was would he just be a backup to Rodgers because Rodgers is so, we don't know, at 41. A, Hackett and Russ have no fond feelings for each other, so that's no. B, Rodgers went up against Russ for 15 years in the NFC as true competitor. Do you think either one of them wants to back the other one up or see the other one's face in a locker room? No. So you start going team by team by team, and it's like last year Baker waited till every other seat was filled and was like, all right, I guess I'll go to Tampa and I'll fight with Kyle Trask and make the most of it. And see, I don't have a team for Russ right now. Is New England a great fit? I don't know. There's going to be a rookie quarterback in a lot of these places. So this is what the paradigm is. He's inexpensive.
That's good.
Which is great.
Great.
But is there a team, even with an inexpensive Russ, banging down the door? Like, he could sign right now before free agency. I don't have a team for him to be like, yes, let's just jump to the gates, get Russ, and we've got Russell Wilson.
So when you say you don't have a team for him, let's say it plays out, then what happens to Russell Wilson?
He eventually will have to sign with a team if he wants to continue his NFL career, and he will compete and will likely give whatever rookie he's in there with hell for a starting job out of the gates. And I don't think he's looking to be veteran mentor backup to one of the top guys. I don't see him wanting to go with Caleb. Let me teach Caleb Williams the ways. I think Russ still wants to play football, which is why the Baker Mayfield comparison made sense, because that was Baker's place last year. He's like, I was a backup last year so that I could get to this point. I'm not doing that again.
Well, Tannehill's on that list. Could he go support the Titans and what they're trying to do with Will Levis?
Who's starting?
Levis,
Right.
I guess.
Yeah. He's going to go to a team that's not supposed to do anything this year and be the backup?
Tough.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard.
I think if you
There's
brought
only
Russ, you
32
have to
seats.
compete.
You have to compete.
You're
He's
Russell
going to
Wilson.
want the job. And Tennessee's already told us they're all in on Will Levis.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's very awkward spot in his career because, like you said, there are other guys who have been there and have erupted. Like Kurt Warner was a backup to Eli Manning and then left and went to the Super Bowl with Arizona. Who's the other one? You said Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer went to the Raiders, was terribly, basically retired, and then he renaissance also with Arizona. And then, Favre had that one weird year with the Jets. My point is we're working pretty hard to find guys of their stature who have this weird little island in the middle of their career and then prosper. I don't count Flacco last year. That was just a hot run. I'm talking about guys who set up for a few years and got really good.
I think the tough thing is, to your point, is now he's going to be a free agent before it all starts. Which team is going to forego whatever plans they just had? Take Atlanta, for example. Everybody's linked. They may go after Kirk Cousins. Maybe they move up in the draft. Are you going to forego waiting for Kirk Cousins when free agency starts and say, all right, you know what, Russ is our guy? if it's one of these other teams, if it's the Raiders, are you going to say, all right, you know what, we tried it with a veteran last year in Jimmy G, but you know what, this year we're going to run it back with Russell Wilson. If it's the Vikings, are you going to say, all right, we're going to let Kirk Cousins go out the door and we're going to use Russ to replace him? I think that's the tough thing. I look at the Russell Wilson, I don't see him going anywhere to be a backup. I just don't see, with everything that he is, his personality, the competitive nature, coming off 2 years in Denver that we just did at the top of the last hour and said it was the worst trade in the NFL, and now he's going to go somewhere and just quietly sit on the bench and be a backup to somebody. I don't see that. I think he wants to go somewhere, whether it is like the Steelers to compete with a Kenny Pickett, if it's maybe like the Giants to compete with a Daniel Jones, a team that already has a quarterback that they're kind of unsure about, so we can bring in Russ for cheap and say, all right, let me go and see if he can compete. As Kyle's shaking his head like, no, that's not happening.
He's not coming to New York.
No.
The personality is too unique. The media thing would be crazy. And listen, Rodgers' personality is unbelievably unique.
Yeah.
Rodgers, a few years ago, decided he doesn't give a damn what anybody thinks of him in a certain way. He just says whatever he wants. Russ, I think, is the opposite of that. I think part of what helped Russ a lot, it was Pacific Northwest. Like, he's up there in Seattle. I cannot see him coming into the New York media and no.
I look at it, then it falls. I remember when I was in New England and Cam Newton joined our team in the summer. And it was, for some of these teams, you may have a plan for a quarterback, and it doesn't happen. Atlanta may say, you know what, we're all in on Kirk Cousins. And they spend free agency trying to get Kirk Cousins to come over. He ends up going back to Minnesota. And now you're maybe stuck with, all right, now we have Desmond Ridder, we have Taylor Heineke. Is this where we're going to be? And maybe the Jacoby Brissetts and the Ryan Tannehills have already signed. I think it's a team of that, of our quarterback plans have maybe fallen through. Russ is sitting there waiting for the perfect opportunity, and he ends up on a team like that where it wasn't our first option, maybe not our second, but you know what? Russ is a really good quarterback, and maybe he can get us over.
That's right.
There's so many options, though. You brought up all the options.
Yeah.
It's also like Justin Fields may be able to be had. You know, you go and trade for him if that's there. Like, that's another option. It's very
Or if
young.
Minnesota loses Kirk Cousins, do you say, all right, here's a quick Band-Aid, let's put Russ up there?
Okay, so speaking of Band-Aid, there's one team we haven't said, which is the Raiders. And that is a term that Antonio Pierce used at the Combine last week, and that he's not interested in having a Band-Aid quarterback. Does Russell Wilson qualify as that?
Yeah, probably. And I don't know what the fit there is. I keep coming back to
You're
fit.
really big on the personality.
Well, Antonio Pierce and Russell Wilson are two different types of.
I mean, like, guys.
Can't it just be about like winning in football, what he brings to the team?
We've
not
been
with
down
him?
the road a long time with Russell Wilson. And, like, I'm going to choose my words carefully because I've been down this road before, too. He's a very unique personality. And don't take it from me, there are a litany of former Seahawks who can tell you the same thing. I think it's interesting that, listen, like, he's going to be 36 this year. Like, I know that, like, Brady plays till so long. Not everybody does that. And I think I liked Connor Orr's piece on this, and he was saying who we need to blame right now for this mystery about Russell Wilson is John Schneider and Pete Carroll, who kept this secret for years that Russell Wilson can be very good in a perfect situation when he has a top-notch defense, a great running game. He's like, it's a great art. He's like, he was never Drew Brees. He was never Tom Brady. He was never Peyton Manning, and he was exposed in Denver, basically. So what's the draw right now to Russ? Like, you have me at cheap. So if I'm somebody who's just kind of floundering and like, he's cheap, but you know what I like better than cheap? I like good. Like, I want someone who can really play. And his stock is so low right now.
I thought he was really good in some moments last year.
He was.
The
He beat the
Buffalo
Chiefs.
Monday night
Beat
game,
the Bills.
Chiefs game, and like in a 2-minute drill, there's still, I still think there's football left. Like, you watch him in 2 minutes, there might be no better quarterback still to this
I remember
day.
the Bills having 12 guys in the field. Was he good in that game, Russ?
Yes, he was great.
Good for him,
He was
then.
throwing those
He was
passes
in Buffalo
back.
at night. It was great.
Drove him with P. Ryan, all those
Cam
plays.
Sutton in the corner of the end zone was a terrific
It's
pass.
just someone has to sit in a room right now and be like, guys, I think we should get in the Russell Wilson business. And it's ambitious, and it's bold, and there's so many options, and there's so many good quarterbacks coming out right now. You have me at cheap. Like, that, there may be somebody who takes it because of that.
I think there's something to having a guy who you the Steelers, the Giants, you already predetermined that Daniel Jones and Kenny Pickett is the guy. But at this point, you're like, we're not really sure. We can't pay a guy, maybe a Jacoby Brissett, who may be $6 million a year as a backup quarterback. We can bring Russ in for cheap, and we're not all in on Russ. If it works, it works. But if it doesn't, we can just kind of
Can he be in the building and be not the main piece?
But you're competing
to
the
sell
main
himself
piece.
that way.
He might have to, which is probably a humble pill for a guy who was the top of the game for so long.
Well, I think the last 2 years are very humbling for him. So I think maybe he's going to have to put that sweatshirt on. That Connor Orr piece of like a great run game and a good defense, to me, that is the Steelers at this point. And frankly, that's not the Giants. So like that, you have to work it backwards almost and be like, which team, if you're going to try to have that be the success story for Russell Wilson, if so facto, who needs a quarterback that has a good run game and a great defense?
You did have me with the Raiders, and that Denver's going to be paying his salary.
Okay.
For the most part.
Yeah. Kind of a slap
Mark
in the
Davis
face.
likes that.
Like, all right, I'm going to let my arch rivals pay for this guy, and we're going to go and compete. And then you also draft a quarterback, and then you've got this potpourri of Russell Wilson and someone to be rushed out. Maybe the Raiders, but you're right. Antonio Pierce is like, let's go kick him in the mouth and let's go.
Let's smoke cigars.
Yeah.
I don't know if Russ is like that.
That's all right. He doesn't have to be like that. They don't have to perfectly align.
Does the Band-Aid quarterback just keep you in the same spot, though? Like, you look at Denver Raiders, you're picking 12, you're picking 13. Does the Band-Aid quarterback just always get you just enough wins to not go and get your
Well, Peter
franchise
says the Raiders would
quarterback?
draft a rookie,
I would
and
think
then
you
Russ
draft
would be
at
there.
13
Draft someone
and
at
then-
13.
So Russ is going to start the season, or
And Nick's.
what if the
Russ.
rookie's amazing? Let's get Nixon there. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
You still